For you to be able to solve any problem successfully, you have to be able to address the root cause of that problem. Because otherwise, the same problem will keep on recurring. Every time the same problem will be there. You might be able to get some temporary solutions. But if you're seeking to have the long-term solution, you've got to be able to address the real problem. That's why I said I have to make this video, because we have reached to the point where most of us as foreign talents, we also believe only the language is the barrier that stands between us and the jobs. And at the end of the day, we are not doing anything to develop other things which matter more. That's the main reason. As a foreign talent in Finland, have you ever encountered this statement? I'm sorry, we cannot hire you because you do not speak Finnish language. What was your reaction? Please share it with me on the comment section below. But today, I'm here to discuss with you on how I believe that this statement, I'm sorry we cannot hire you because you don't speak Finnish language, does not carry the truth. There are many reasons an employer may reject your application or your request to work with them, and language could be one of them. But I believe language is not playing the major role as it used to play back in old ages. You know, in old ages, when there used to be, huge enmity between kingdoms, having clear understanding when communicating among the kingdom was very critical, because a little misunderstanding can easily lead to a war or even death of some people. So having clear understanding when communicating among themselves was very much critical. But in today's age, language is not playing that major role into restricting people from integrating with each other. Like I said, there are many factors that may lead to an employer rejecting your application or your request to work with them. And of course, I will discuss them shortly. But to begin, I would like to tell you that if there is one big factor any employer will reject your application, is value. And what do I mean when I say value? A talent is not a value, you must understand. A skill is not a value. Your education is not a value. These are the potentials, I could say. In order for your potential to be translated into a value, it must be connected to a need somewhere. So if you have a skill of maybe as a doctor, and we have people with headaches, then your skill as a doctor becomes a value. If you have a diamond in the ground, it's a potential if nobody knows about it, if nobody needs it. But when it has been discovered and there is a market for that diamond, that is when the diamond becomes becomes something valuable. Do you understand what I'm saying? And one more thing which you have to understand here is that your value is relative, because there is a value that you really have basing on the need of your potential, and there is a translation, or how can I say it? How does the employer translate your value? That's what I'm saying. Your value is somehow relative. So let me now try to relate value versus the language requirement. If a potential employer detects or feels that you are valuable, you have the value that they need, language becomes part of the recruitment process. They will arrange the language training for you. And this is why in Finland we have the so-called integration period. In this integration period, the most important thing that you are being taught is how to speak Finnish language. Of course, you will also be taught about the culture and something like that. Why? Because initially, Finland assumes everyone who comes to Finland has something valuable to offer to a society. So language becomes not a requirement. Language is now a recruitment process. You are being passed through a process where you are being imparted the language. Do you understand what I'm saying? But if an employer do not feel as if you have any value that you can offer to the society, the same language becomes the criteria, becomes the entry criteria. And I can give you an example. Why? If you check through the Immigration Services Office, they have never mentioned the criteria. Like, if you want to come to Finland, you must first master the Finnish language. Why they have not mentioned that? And if you have ever applied to any university, maybe in the UK, of course, in the Europe, most of the university in the Europe, and also some, I think, in the America, if they want you to study in English, they will first test your capability of learning the language. And of course, they even give the training before the entry. That means you would know clearly that in order to be admitted into this type of universities, you must first master English language. But it's not the case for Finland. No one would demand you to speak any Finnish language before coming to Finland. That was example number one. Example number two, why do we have companies going abroad to recruit new people to come to Finland to work? We have companies who have been doing that. And even recently, I think it was in this January, we heard a minister traveled to Philippines and Vietnam trying to promote the job industry in Finland. They want people to come to Finland to work. Do you think people in Vietnam or in Philippines, they speak better Finnish language than the international talents living in Finland currently? Do you think so? I don't think so. But now I can't really say. But in my simple explanation, I would say there is a potential value in that process. And so for those people who fall into this value chain, learning the language becomes part of the process. The language is not acting as the entry criteria at the moment. It becomes part of the process. Do you understand what I'm saying? Example number three. When I first started to look for a job, I had friends who, of course, were also foreigners, but they had mastered the Finnish language. They were speaking the language very well. I don't know if it was fluent or not, but for me, who used to be new by then, I saw them speaking fluent because they were communicating like effortlessly. Yes, but when it came to looking for a job, because I was being told if you don't speak the language, you will not get a job. And if you had spoken the Finnish language, then you would have gotten the job quicker. So I was also observing my friends that, okay, let me see how quick they will get their jobs. To my surprise, it was as hard for them as it was hard for me to find any job. And some of them, even up to this moment, they had not managed to get any job. And not only that, I also know some of Finns who have struggled looking for unemployment. And not only my friends, I've also been observing through the LinkedIn platform. I've seen several Finns over there looking for jobs 6 months, 1 year, and some of them with their degrees, they had not managed to get any professional job. This is so much important for you to understand.